I have been following the virtual reality realm.
For good reason.
For good reason, and then in about a month, the Oculus Rift will be released to the public.
Which includes him,
including
since you
me,
were
part of the public. And they just announced this new game called Dragonfront. We'll show a video for the trailer. And basically, it's a Hearthstone-style card game. If you're familiar with Hearthstone or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or any of those, watching this video, it'll look very familiar to you. The main difference being, of course, this isn't virtual reality. So there's kind of a grid. There's a 4x4 grid, and that's where you place your creatures, your battlers, whatever they're called in this game. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be able to, look around your table and see things in 3 dimensions, and there will be lots of different types of cards you can collect. There's different creatures, different factions, and so on and so forth. But by and large, it doesn't look like anything groundbreaking. Like, to me, it just looks like Hearthstone. But apparently, from the people who have played it, who have tested out what it currently is, they said it's actually pretty fun. The reports have been pretty positive. And I think this is something that I think is interesting, because I think we've talked about board games in virtual reality a little before, but
we're really close now.
We're really close. And this is one that definitely I think most people would look at and think, and perhaps rightly so, I don't know, why do I really need to play Hearthstone in 3D versus on a computer screen? What's the big difference? And I also thought it was interesting. They originally designed this game. They made it on actual cards before they translated it to virtual or to the 3D realm. Which is
well,
cool.
I do think there's many points to look at this, and I think the first one we should look at is one you sort of asked, and I think this is interesting because before, I admit I haven't been following the VR nearly as much. So when you sort of start introducing me to more of the games that are actually coming out with it. I was really surprised. Some of them you were like, "Oh yeah, it's a 2D platformer. It's not first person, but it's this." Like,
right.
So why don't you start off explaining why games like that, like this, things that aren't really, look, I'm actually in the cave.
Yeah, it's funny because I think that's what most people their first thought goes to is first person games, which are definitely a big thing.
Or in general, first person really experiences, like even like not game related, like seeing a movie in a virtual reality movie theater or something. Something where you could easily put it on the screen and wouldn't make a difference.
But so I have other than one brief demo at Comic-Con a couple years ago, I have not really tried the virtual reality app. But from what I know and from what people have said, it's a lot more immersive than you think. Being able to feeling like you're actually in a place, it's still a powerful experience, even if you're not the thing you're controlling. And I think where that would come into play in a game like this is the fact that when you're playing against someone online, it feels like you're at a table and you can look around the table and you can actually see your opponent like on the other side of the screen. And when you put something on the field, it moves. And I think that will add a lot to the experience.
No, I mean, while I didn't pre-order the thing, mostly because I throw my money at so many other things, because I'm a bad person, I do think VR can bring a lot of... This is where I'd be a lot more interested in seeing when I see... how we see like the Ticket to Ride app. I mean, sure, that was fun when you guys were playing on the tablet. I probably would have loved doing it too, but I was driving at the time when you guys were doing it. Being able to do that with VR, I think, could be a really cool experience. In particular, I think certain games would really be really awesome and shine in doing so. And definitely, if you haven't guessed, these are probably the more thematic games. Like, I mean, playing just with the Dead of Winter app that has the voice that doesn't tell you everything is a big thing. I remember actually when, and card games are obviously, the PlayStation Move, but PlayStation 3, when it had the camera, had a card game where you'd play on a table, but the camera would see the card.
Right.
So on the screen, a little guy would pop up. And I think that would be really cool if the VR could do that much more without the physical card game base. And I think that would be definitely cool. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people who are Yu-Gi-Oh fans would die to have that,
It's that reality come to life, sort of.
Right.
Or I'm trying to think of other... I mean, every fantasy card game, I feel like, has a thing where it's like a hologram.
Well, for me, the things I think of that I would really love this for would be, the 3 or 4 of us who get... Probably we know would get the goggles, whatever version would be like, want to play Arkham? Sure. This expansion. Deck's already made. Doesn't take an hour to set the game up.
Right.
There's certain games which I think the setup type actually hurts the game. significantly. And I think that's where VR can think. Like, not even if the fact that if we see Cthulhu Tentacles or anything. We could just see a table with all their same cards and everything. But the fact that that's there.
Yeah, and I think regardless of long-term enjoyment, I think at the very least in the beginning, just the novelty of putting on goggles and being like, wow, I see a board game even though there isn't one there, I think will be really fun.
No, if I can speak. All right. If Tabletopia, I think it was called?
Yes.
I'd love to see what they do, because they, I think, are going to be, or at least I'm hoping they will be, the forefront for bringing games to VR, because let's be honest, even as awesome as we both agree VR is, it is still a hefty price to get into.
Right, sure.
And considering board games are already hard, and some people be like, well, I already own the physical copy, why? So if Tabletopia can really bring that experience in, like with servers, maybe making your own games so you can add your own adapted versions and stuff.
And I think there's another one, Altspace VR, that's specifically working on. I think they were the ones who did the D&D, and they have other board games I think that are already in VR too. So it's a thing.
Yeah, and another thing I think it would work really well with bringing up VR. One of the things I've been always tempted to do, but is Legendary. We talked about Marvel and but we want other things. People have made custom, really good, I actually looked for pictures of Transformers, and that'd be said I'd love, so it actually looked interesting, not just oh, we just came with a build.
People could easily just skin a game.
No, yeah, and I can't, what I'm saying is I don't have the printer or the materials to print out, a nice card stock to do that. But in a game like that, you could insert, in essence, the expansion.
For print and plays for Kickstarters, that's huge, because a lot more people would try your game out probably and buy it if they don't, without having to even do anything.
Yeah, I think,
same for non-VR.
Overall, I think it'd be a very interesting experience of board games. We don't know fully how it'll turn out, but I think we both be in agreement in saying we hope it does well. We hope VR is just helpful for everyone. We don't want it to just
everything does well.
Yeah.
I never hope things don't do well.
Well,
but that's Dragonfront. That's coming out sometime later this year. I don't think it's with the launch of the Rift.
He'll let you know, because he'll actually be able to play it.
And it is, at least at launch, going to be exclusive, but it may even come to just PC later on, possibly. And they also haven't said whether or not this is free to play, but I'm sure it's going to be the same model as Hearthstone. I would be shocked if it was not.
Well, I would consider, from my small experience playing it, not because I didn't like it, I do think the model is actually, in terms of a free-to-play model, I think it's one of the ways it's done right.
It's fair.
Yes, which I think is very rare.
Yes, increasingly these days.